Okay, so you can find here your blocks, insert block, create block, edit block. What we are going to do is we are going to create a block. Let's give it window. I'm going to just convert that to window. And we are going to select pick point. Now, what is pick point? So if you click on this, it's going to ask you to select a point on which you will want the block to be inserted on your file. So you can select any base points of this. So let's say I'll select and just I'll pick my point. I'll select this endpoint, and now it's given me the X and the Y coordinates. Then I will go to convert block and I'll tick mark it. The rest of the things, let's say I'm not going to select these as well. I'm just going to say convert block, check the block units, millimeters, and I'm going to say okay. We are going to select object. So I'm going to select what I want to create on my block. So that is select object. You'll click on select object, select what you want to block and press enter. And I'll say okay. Now I have created my block. Now, if I want to insert block, I'll go here and I'll find that I have a window block. I'll go to window and now I can insert my block. If you say B edit or B enter, you will find that it will open your block definition. From here, again, you can select, let's say I want my window. Now I'm going to tell you what these functions are. So let's say I will make a geometry here. Let's say I have these two objects. I want to convert it to block. I'll say create block. Again, I'll pick my point. Let's say this point this time. I'll say select object. I want these two objects to be selected. I'll say okay. Now I will, instead of convert to block, I will say retain. Let's give this a number. Now what retain has done is, it's not created a block on the screen, but if you look here in the insert tab, you will find that the block has been created. So the original geometry remains, but a block has been created. Now I can place this block. Then the next one is, let's say I will now create one more block. I will say edit block. Let's give it a number again. Pick point, let's say this one this time. Now I'm going to say delete. So what this will do, I have said delete and okay. Select object and okay. Now what it has done is, it has deleted the original geometry that I had converted into a block. But if you check in the insert block command, this block has been made. Now let's delete this. And I am going to make another block. And I'll say edit, make a block, create a block. I'll again give this a number. I'll say pick point. I'll say this one this time. And now I am going to say convert to block. And I'm going to say scale uniformly and allow exploding. Now what this will do is, I'll say okay. Now you see that it's created a block. Now when I try to insert a block, I'll go to insert this block here, insertion point. Let me just do this one here. Insert block. Okay, now, if you don't have this window open, go to insert and say recent blocks, you will get this window. So now, since we have checked a scale in this, what will it do is, if I try to insert this block and I go here and I say, just a second. And I say, instead of uniform scale, I'll say that I want 2 to be the scale factor. And I'll insert this block. Now what it has done is, it has scaled that block to the factor of 2. So in this, we can manipulate the scale of the object. Now, if I uncheck it and I say, and I again go to insert block and I say, let's say this block. So, and I have unchecked it. It's going to keep on repeating it for the scale factor of 2. So let's say 1. Now I will say I want to create, let's say I want to create a block again. Create. I'll pick a point. I'll specify my object. Uncheck this. And now you can see that if I 22. Now I have this block again, 22. That's and I have again unselected these 2 points. So what it will do is, if I try to insert it, and you see that it's giving me an option for the scale, I will say, let's say I want a scale at 2 factor on the x-axis, and I'll keep the y. And now I try to insert this block. So what it has done is, it has stretched the block's length by 2, because we have specified this scale factor here. So if you want to modify this block, you can just select and unselect these, and you can edit. Let's say I'll keep it as 1 again. Now, let's say if I say rotation on, and I try to insert this block, what it will do is, it will ask me the rotation point. So either I can specify the angle, let's say 45, and yes. So it has now inserted the block at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so this is how you can insert various types, and you can manipulate the scale and the length of the objects for making a block. I will now, let's. Now, if you want to group a set of objects, so let's say I have a circle, I have another circle, Another circle. And now I am going to group it. So here you can go to group, or you can type GROUP group and say enter. Now it has made it a group. I can move it. I can copy it. Now, if you want to edit a group, so if I go to this and I say, this is for ungroup. So if you want to ungroup it again, you can go to ungroup or simply type in ungroup. So let's say I click this and I type ungroup. It has again made it into a individual objects. So let's say I have a geometry here. Let's say I have a line here. I have a line here. And now I want to add these two lines to this existing group. So what I'll do is I'll click on it. I'll say edit group. Or I can go here and I'll say, sorry, not edit group, group edit. So I can just type in group edit here. Or I can go to here. I'll say add object. Now it's telling me to select the object that I want to add to the group. Let's say I want to select this and this. I'll say enter. Now it has added those two objects to this group. Similarly, if you want to ungroup an object, you will again go to edit group. You will say remove object. Let's say I don't want this circle. And I'll say enter. Now it has removed that circle from the group. And the rest of the thing is a group still. Now, if I go to group manager here on the drop down menu, group manager, let's say I want to name this group. So first I'll go here and I will say edit group. I want to rename this group and I will type in. So let's say circle. Okay, now it has named this group as a circle. Now, if you go to your group manager, it's going to show you all the groups that you have created in the file. So it's going to be here. This is how you can check what all groups you have made in your drawing. This is group turn off and on. So if I say group off or group on, I can say group on. I'll click it again. It will now off the group, and now I can move this separately. If I again say group on, what it will do is it will again activate the group, but any change I make to the group, it will reflect it. So since I moved that object, I can now move it, but it's still a part of the group because I have this on and off. If I say off, now I can move this object and it will be an individual object. If I again turn it on, I'll say group on. It will again convert it to a group. And now I can group on. Again, it has on my group and all that geometry is again a group. I can move it. So it's going to move the whole geometry. That's group on and group off. It's controlled from this. Okay, that is making groups. So giving dimensions. Now in dimensions, we have linear dimensions, quick dimensions, continuous dimensions. Oblique, aligned, all those. So let's say linear. Linear dimension is dim linear. So if I say dim linear, LIN, it's going to give me a linear dimension. Okay, let's first talk about dimension style. So if right now, if you see that I've given this dimension, but it's very small and I don't want it to be into 0, it's giving me 34 mm, 34,000 mm like that. So let's say I want to change that. I will go to Dimension Style Manager. So to activate Dimension Style Manager, it's D enter. This is the iOS 25. That's the default AutoCAD thing that we're using. But let's say we want to modify it. So we will go to Modify. Now it's opened all this. Now this is giving me what kind of lines I want, symbols I want, text, everything related to text, fit, primary units, alternative units. So we will go to primary units. We want in mm. Let's say I want 0.0 precision. Decimals. Here you can select what kind of units you want, architectural, decimal, engineering. So we will just go with, because we are working with mm, I'll just go in mm. And I'll go to text. Now here it's giving me the text height. So let's say it's 2.5. We know that it's very small. So we will say 50. I'll go to my symbols and arrows. Now, what kind of symbols and arrows you want at the end? So do you want them to be closed fills? Do you want them to be oblique? So let's say we will go here and we will go architectural tick. It's changed to both. Leader, I'll tell you what leader is. So let it be this. And the arrow size. So let's say I want it to be 50 as well. The rest of the thing we'll keep it as same. Line is the color of the line of the dimension. So this is by block. That means it's by, you can change it here for every line because we have not made it a layer. If you have made a layer, you can always say by a layer. And last time I showed you how to make layers. So you can assign a different layer for dimensions and give the color there. So let's say I'll select by layer. Line type also I'll select by layer. Line width I'll select by layer, so that once I changed the actual settings in my layer, everything here will get changed. Extension beyond the tick is this. So do you want the line to extend above the tick or do you want the line to end with the tick? So we will keep it as 0. And let's say from baseline, we will say 100. The rest of the thing, I'll keep it as it is. Extension line also, we can say by layer. And okay. And we will say set current. Close. And close. Now you see that it has made changes to my dimension. It's increased the text. It's given me my ticks. And it's given me a extension line as well. So if I say, take this here. Okay. Now I want to do a linear dimension. So linear is always a straight. So if you have any angle dimension, it will not give you the angle dimension. Start point, end point. You can go here and you can select yes. Or what you can do is you can say dim lin. That's DIM LIN. Enter. And you can say object, enter. That's O, enter. Say DIM, enter. I can activate my my line from DIM, enter, and I will say select object. DIM, enter, and object, enter. And I'll press enter. So now it's allowed me to select objects. So I can directly select the line and it's going to give me a line. Quick dimensions is when you have, so let's say I have here, let's say I click this and I say enter. It's going to give me quick dimensions of all. So everything is selected and it has given me a dimension. So all the lines it's selected and it has given me a quick dimension. So that's quick dimension. Remove that. It's also given me the thickness because my line starts from here. It's not aligned. So quick dimension is generally when you have like a, let's say I have multiple rooms and they are of the same size. I'll just say quick dimensions and I'll select my object and I'll say enter. And it's going to give me the quick dimensions. So this is better when everything is aligned, because otherwise you saw that it will give you every dimension and in one line. So the dimensions from this line will also be given to me here. So make sure you use quick dimensions when you have like lesser objects or you have similar objects. Then there is continuous dimension. So continuous dimension is, if I select continuous dimension, I will need to give a starting or a base dimension. Let's say I have this dimension and now I want a continuous dimension. I'll go to this and I will start making my dimensions. If I have another object, it'll keep on giving me dimensions until I press escape or enter. Now it's given me a continuous dimension that is starting from this dimension. So let's say I'll delete this as well. If I want to start continuous dimension, I'll go to again continuous dimension, or I can say DIMCO this, and I'll select the dimension that I want my continuous to start from. So if I select this dimension, it will again start my continuous dimension, and now I can follow. So if you have a base dimension, you can start from it. The next dimension is your aligned dimensions. So let's say now you have a wall at an angle and you want the dimensions to be aligned to this wall. So what I'll do is I'll go to dim ALI, dim aligned. I'll say enter. And now if I select this dimension, it's going to give me a aligned dimension. Then we have left justify, that's done, object is done, text align. Okay. Then we have breaks. Now what are dimension breaks? So let's say that I have these dimensions here. I have this dimension here. I have all my internal dimensions crossing each other. Now, if I select dimension break, I'll select it and I'll say I want this dimension to break. So I'll select dimension and this dimension and say enter. So I'll show you why it has not modified. $100 here. So did you see what it has done? It has created a break in the dimension so that those lines don't cross each other. So again, if I select dimension break and I select this dimension and I say enter, it will create a dimension line break. In the other one, we couldn't see it because the size of the break was so small. So if you want to change the size, you go to again enter or dimension style manager. You will go to modify and it will open. And in symbols and arrows, you will find break size. Now, if I increase this again to 300, say OK, set current, close, it will increase my dimension break size. That is dimension break. This is adjust spacing. So now let's say that I have delete this. Let's say I have dimensions here. I'll say continuous and give these dimensions. And now I have another set of dimensions. So I'll again go to DIM enter and let's say now I have these room size. I'll go to continuous and let's say I have an overall dimension. And again, I'll say that I want a linear dimension. And now I want this whole. So now you see that when we give dimensions, it's not equally spaced or it's randomly spaced, but you want this to be proper. You have your sheets, you want them to look the same. So what you can do is you can go to adjust spacing. So what this will do is, let's say I'll keep this as my base dimension and I want this. I'll select that. I'll say enter. I want auto. So this is the spacing between these two dimension lines. So for now, let's say auto and we'll enter. Now it has, did you see that it's made it equidistance? Similarly, if I say that I'll select my adjust spacing. I'll select this as my base and enter. I'll select this as my base and now I'll select all these dimensions and I'll say enter. And for it also, we will say auto enter. Now it's made it properly formatted. So now this distance between each two lines is equal. This to this line and this to this line. Now let's say I want to customize the spacing. What I will do is, again, I'll go to adjust spacing. I'll select my base dimension. I'll select what dimensions I want. I say, okay, enter. And now I'll put in a value. So this is 100. So let's say I want to keep it 300. Now it's increased the spacing. And now I know that all my dimension lines will be equally spaced. That is your adjust dimension. Now, if you have a break line, so let's say I have this break line. And in most of the cases when we have large scale drawings, but we don't want to show what's in the middle, so we always keep it as a break line. And I have a dimension for it. So what this has done is it's given me the distance between this and this. But let's say I'll use the similar thing. So let's say I have another wall adjoining it, and I have it broken here. So let's say this is my site plan and I don't want to show it, but I want to give the total dimension. So if I select this, it's going to give me the line, the dimensions. Now it's 9,120. So let's say on my site plan, this is actually 12,000 millimeters. So to do that, I will go to my dimension jog line and I'll select it, and I'll select the dimension that I want to jog. So I'll select this and I'll give a space where I want to place the jog line. So let's say I'll give it this point. Now it's created a jogged dimension. Now I can go here, double click on the text, or I can say ED, enter, and I'll say text, and I'll type in 12,000. Okay. Now it's changed my dimension to 12,000 with a jogged dimension. But if I select this, I'll select right click, I'll go to quick properties. My properties pop up. It's given me the measurement that my actual measurement is 9,902 or 9,192, but the text override is 12,000 because we want to keep it as a jog dimension. If I remove this 12,000 from here and I say okay, it will again convert my dimension to the actual dimension of this line. So this is where jog comes in handy, where you have multiple things that are exceeding your site plan, which you don't want to show, or you want to show with a jogged dimensions. So let's say I want to add text to my drawing. I'll go to T enter or text enter, and I'll specify a point. And now I'll give it a text box. So let's say that this is bedroom. Let's call it studio. And I will change my text height to 100. And I'll say okay. Now you see that this has become a text. You can now move it. If you want to edit it, you have to double click it, and then you will enter your text, or what you can do is ED enter and type and click on it and then edit. To manipulate the size, the font, again, you will go to dimension style, modify. You'll go to text. It's going to ask this is your dimension style text. Sorry. I don't have any other styles. That's why it's given me only 2 styles. If you have a font, you can again go here. So this is how I activated it. I'll go to text. I'll go to manage text styles. And now I can select text from, let's say I want Calibri. I'll say okay, text height, I'll size, I'll say 100 because we have 100, and I'll say set current and close. Now it's changed my text style. Now, if you want to add a leader, so we all know a leader, it's an arrow, right? If you want to demarcate something on your sections or elevations, or you want to give a description, we always need a leader. To add a leader, you can go here in your annotate tab, add a leader, or you can go to LE and type in leader and say enter. Now it will ask you to specify the start point of the leader. I'll say this, and let's say I want a straight line. I'll say okay and say enter. Now it's created a leader. LE enter is also for leader. I'll say okay, specify the endpoint. I'll say okay, and M text is say enter. Now it's created a text box for me. I can directly give in the description. So let's say cabinet for hob. I'll say enter. Now it has given me a leader with my text. If I want to move the text, it's going to be attached to my leader. So wherever I move the leader, wherever I move the text, it will go along with my leader. To change the leader arrow size or thickness, again, you have to go to dimension style, modify, go to your leader, and it will give you all the options that you want, how your leader to be. Closed filled. So let's say I want closed blank. I'll say okay, set current, close. Now it's created a close blank arrow. So that's how you create leader and text. This is generally helpful when you're naming in your elevations or sections and you want to mark. You can remove the leader from here. You can select. Remove, select multiple, or say M enter. Select this. It's going to ask me to select multiple. I don't want to. Now it's remove the leader, and now it's separate from my text. So if you go on leader, again, if I want to do leader, let's say leader, and I will go here, I type in enter M text. It's showing me I want to enter at M text. I'll say yes. Again, I'll type. So sink cabinet, enter outside. Again, if I move this, it's removed from my sink cabinet. So if I select on that, it's going to move only my leader. If you want to move it with the text, select the text and then hover it wherever you want. That's your leader and text. I'll remove this as well. Now to mark a center and a center line. So let's say I have a circle and I have multiple of them. Let's say this is my, these are my columns and I want to add a center. I'll go to mark center and I'll select the object. Now this will give me the centers for this circle. Now let's say I want a center line for this wall. So what I'll do is I'll go to center line and I will select this wall, external, internal. Now it's given me a center line. So I can move it and this will give me it's given me a center line that is a dash dot. So I don't need to make another layer for my center line and then apply the dash and dot like we did last time. This will directly create a center line for you. Again, if I want this for this wall, I'll go to center line. I'll select these walls and it's given me an automatic center line. So this is helpful when you have to make site plans and you want center lines to make grids. This is the easy access to mark your center and mark your center line. So now in layers, I have created a hatch layer already separate. I have given it a color. If you want to hatch, you can. The command is H-enter for hatching. Now you see that here my hatch command has been activated. Now it's telling me to select a point or I can select an object. Let's say I want to select by point. And I'm going to, it's shown me where a hatch should always be inside a polyline or a closed object. If it's not closed, it will not hatch. So make sure all your walls are into a closed line or polyline. And I will paste my hatch. I will say enter. If I want to edit the hatch. Now, this hatch is a solid color fill. It's colored by layer. And now if I want to change the hatch. So if I go here, I'll see all the various kinds of hatch that are available. So let's say I want an angled hatch instead of this. So I'll select that. Now you see that I can't see the lines. That is because my scale is very small. So I will go to scale and I'll say 100, enter. It's too big, 50, too big still. I want it to be 10. Yeah, this is fine. So I'll go enter. And now I don't want to redraw. I don't want to create any other options, anything. I'll just say escape. So now it's hatched my wall. Now let's say I want to hatch this portion. I'll go to H, enter. Let me save it. So now this is a rectangle. Okay. So I'll go to H, enter. And I'll say select by object. So if I go here and I select this object, it's going to select that object and hatch it. Now let's say that this is my floor. So I want it. Let's keep it as tiles. I'll change the scale. I'll go to 50. Enter. Now I can set the origin. That means where my hatching will start. So see, this hatch has been cut from here and it's a hole here. So if I go to set origin and I select this point and I select enter, my hatching is going to start from that point. So this is setting an origin of your hatch. Let's say if I have this style, let's erase this and I'll do it again. So H, enter. I'll go to this and go here. Let's select this and I'll select object. Now I want to set the origin. And this is going to be the starting point of my style. I'll select that point. Now it's going to start from this point. Now, if I increase or decrease the angle, so let's say I want this to be horizontal, I'll say 45. Now it has changed the angle of my hatch. If I hover this and I increase or decrease, it's going to increase or decrease my hatch angle as per I want, as per the as per whatever angle is here. So let's say I'll select it. I'll go here. I'll say 45. And if I again want to change, if my tiles is starting from this point corner, I'll again go to this. I'll select it. It will activate my set origin. I can go the point. And now my tile is it's going to show me where my hatching is starting. So this is hatch. Now, if I have a hatch here, let's say I'll put a hatch here, but I don't want this. Let's say I'll go here. I can change it from this, and my size is going to be 10, 5. And I don't want this hash to continue here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line. And I'm going to say trim my hatch. So I'll double click. I'll activate the trim and I'll double click. And now I can trim my hatch. So this is how you trim your hatch. If you want to match your hatch to this, so let's say I have a hatch. Let's say I have this hatch here. And similarly, I want this hatch to be the same as this hatch. What I can do is I can match properties. So I'll say MA, or I can go to match properties here. I'll select it. I'll select the hatch I want and I'll select it here. I can have the same hatch here. So I can match the properties of this hatch to this hatch. That is hatching. So let's say you have a file like this. You have all your plans, your furniture plan, your dimension plan, and now you want to make elevations or sections. And you want them to be in a separate file because two different people are working on two different files. So let's say I am architect 1, I'm working on the plans, and Ban is architect 2, she's going to work on the elevations. So what's an XREF? XREF is where you are going to convert this original plan file into a reference file. How do you do that? So let's say I will go to a new file. I'll create a new drawing. I will go to my drawing. It's already made over. I will go to my units. Now that file, the plan file is in feet. So I will select feet. I'll say okay. And now I'm going to save this as an elevation file. So I'll go to save as. And what's very important in terms of XREF is you need to have a different folder where you're going to place in all your files that are going to be XREF'd. So let's say I make a folder and now this is my plan file. I am going to save my elevations here. Elevations. It's created an elevation file in the XREF folder. Now, to convert that plan file into XREF, I will go to X and ref, REF. So XREF, I'll type in XREF and say enter. It's going to open this window. What I want to do is go here to attach drawing, attach it, and I'm going to select my plan file that I want to convert as an XREF. So I'm going to select my plan. I'll say open. Everything is going to be the same. Don't change anything here. I'll say okay. It's going to ask me to place the file. So I'll just select anywhere on my screen. I'll place it. I'm going to close this window. I'll double click it to zoom extent. And now this file has been created as a XREF. So you can see that I will not be able to edit anything in this file. But I can hover here and I can move my XREF. So this has created a block that I cannot edit. Now let's say that I don't want the furniture plan in my XREF file because I'm going to work on the elevations. If there are a lot of things in your original file, your PC may hang. And now that is important for me is only the measuremented plan. So what I am going to do is I'm going to type in xclip, CLIP. I'll say enter. I'm going to select the file that I want to clip. I'll say yes. Now it's going to ask me the clipping options. Here, I'm going to say new boundary. And I'll say rectangle. And I'm going to draw a rectangle here. So what this has done is it has removed everything that I don't want. And it has just kept the file that I want. So this is X-clipping your file. Now let's say that I make my XL enter, V enter. I start making my elevations. I have this wall. And I have this wall. I'm going to just keep it as this wall. And I have a window here and here. These are my extension lines or my guideline. So I'm going to make my rectangle here. Let's say for now we just have and I'm going to have my window here. Of course, this is going to be as per your measurements. So you have to have the distance where your sill is going to start, where your floor line is going to start. But I'm just showing you for the purpose of. So this is in feet, sorry. So I'll just say 1 inch. Now I have my window. Now I am working on a separate file on this elevation, but someone is working on this file. So let's say that my dimensions change and I am working on this file and Ban is working on the separate file. So let's say that my dimensions change here. So maybe this wall, instead of 12 feet, it becomes 10 feet. So I am making changes here. I will say 10 is 2 feet. I'll just remove the hatch for now because it's confusing. I'll also remove the hatch. And now my dimension has changed to 10 feet. And I say, there was no line there. Let's say I will going to trim this dimension. This is my outer wall. And I'm going to hatch it again. Okay. Now I have made corrections to this floor plan. I'm going to save this file. Now, at the same time, I'm working on this plan. Ban is also working on her elevation. So I have saved this. And now, if I open my elevation file, it's going to ask me here that my XREF was modified. So Ban is going to get a notification that her XREF was modified while she was working. I'll say reload. And now it's going to tell me where the modifications have been made. So my red line is where my previous plot was, and my green line is all the modifications that has been simultaneously made on another file. And I'm going to say tick mark. So now my XREF has changed. Do you see? It's notified me that some changes have been made to this file, and I don't need to ask the owner, the architect, to give me a separate file, to share with me a separate file, because they have made changes. It will automatically change in my XREF. And now I can make the desired corrections in my file. So this is the importance of making XREFs.